today, right here at Deli Divine, best bagel I've had in St. Louis.
There you go. You plugged me. There you go.
There it is.
Bravo. I'm the only one been eating here.
They're gonna be like eight days in a row.
Well, to clarify, he brought a plate full of food for the table, and he's been the only one sitting there every conversation.
He ate the...
He's like asking a question. He's like throwing the food in his mouth. He's like, "Here, I'm gonna use your napkin."
Yeah, use my napkin.
Tell Coach why we're here.
Coach, we're here because we're celebrating Jewish life in St. Louis. That's the most succinct way I can put it. And we wanted to bring people from different backgrounds, different industries, different businesses, but Jewish people in St. Louis who are doing interesting things, that are influencing, that are completely embedded with just
Community.
Yeah.
You're not from St. Louis.
No.
You're new to St. Louis.
New, yep.
And you're a Jewish coach.
One of a few, if not the only, right?
There's a few. Bruce Pearl, there's a couple of coaches, but it's a very small amount.
At a Jesuit school.
At a Jesuit school. At a Jesuit school. A Jewish coach at a Jesuit school.
How's that work out? How has that been any different from any place that you've been? But also, have you had the opportunity to use that as a teaching experience? I saw you just did some Schertz, the Chabadis, right?
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, Chabadis, yeah, absolutely.
But how have you used that as like a learning or teaching experience for other people?
You know, my first job as a head coach, I actually worked at a school in Appalachia. I worked it was in a very small town of 4,000 people in a place called Harrogate, Tennessee, and I don't think there was another Jew in the whole city. And so here comes this guy from New York, Jewish. I'm in the middle of rural Tennessee. And you know what was funny is in the beginning it was a little bit rocky,
Right?
And then by the end the people were amazing and they accepted you. And then I went to Terre Haute, Indiana, also not a place with a ton of Jewish population. Well, they do have the Holocaust Museum, Ava Kor.
Okay.
And I took the team there and we did that after my first year. We spent a day in there. It was amazing. And then Alex Kor, her son, wrote a book on Ava's experiences and did the foreword for his book. And great guy, great family. But again, you know, the people were amazing. And so coming here, you know, to a Jesuit school, it's very interesting. It's, you know, we play in Chaffetz Arena.
Sure.
Right.
And Rich Chaffetz is a Jew.
Yeah.
And Rich is the biggest donor, you know, in terms of athletics to St. Louis University. And so I knew on the front end that you know, that wasn't going to be a big issue. And it was interesting because what I found at St. Louis University and in the Jesuit way is how accepting and open they are to different religions, two different people, that they're not a closed-minded or our way or the highway type deal, that there is a very an openness to, hey, different ethnicities, different religions, different ways of looking at the world. And just being on the campus, small population of Jewish students.
Right.
I just spent, we did like a Hanukkah party with them.
Fun.
Yeah, we
That's
had
great.
about, you know, 30 or 40 of the students together.
You know what I say about Jesuits and Jews? Guilt. We're born with it. They go to school for it.
Probably true. Probably true. Probably very true. I know we're born with it for sure. So that's but no, you're right. And I think, you know, there's places where it wouldn't be as open and accepting to having, not everywhere would be open to a Jewish coach.
Yeah.
And the two places I worked at, you know, weren't cities. They were, you know, Terre Haute's a small town, and Harrogate, Tennessee is 4,000 people.
Wow.
In the middle of the mountains of Tennessee, Kentucky, where they converge. And so I'm talking about middle of nowhere. And those people over time, they accept you, and I think as long as you know, I've always been, you know, proud to be Jewish.
Yeah.
I think proud of my heritage, proud of, you know, my background and my family. And I've always, you know, worn that proudly. I've never hid from that.
So you're a New York Jew? You're born in New York?
I was born in New York, yep.
Where?
I was born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
In Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Okay.
And then I moved to Long Island. I moved to, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Montauk.
Yeah, Montauk.
But Montauk is on the tip of the island, beautiful
Beautiful.
in the summer.
Beautiful.
In the winter, not as beautiful. Yeah. But because it's cold. I mean,
Right.
you're on the ocean. But yeah, so I lived in Montauk till I was almost 13. Then I moved to Florida,
Okay.
which is like New York, just with better weather.
Yeah.
Do you feel like St. Louis, you've been able to find a good New York bagel yet?
You know what?
I can feel Ben looking at me right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Coming in here, you know what? Today, right here at Deli Divine, best bagel I've had in St. Louis.
There
no
you go.
question.
You plugged me. There you go.
There it is.
Bravo.
Best bagel I've had, and not kidding. The everything bagel with the lox.
Isn't that great?
So do we?
Delicious.
So I assume you probably have some stuff going on over Hanukkah, but I'm sensing that if there's an opportunity for maybe a team bagel session for
Yeah, we would
Hanukkah,
love that.
maybe Deli Divine
You
will
know,
drop
my
off some
son's a
bagels.
hooper. My son's in middle school.
Yeah.
He's a big hooper. You know, family. Basketball is a big thing in our family. I would love to do an event with the
Let's
kids
do
over
it.
here.
Bring your son over. We'd have him come to practice.
That would be
they
great.
And our guys, it would
That
be
would be
awesome.
amazing.
Like I just think anytime
That
you
would be
can,
It's a Hanukkah
Yeah.
miracle.
It's a Hanukkah.
It's a Hanukkah miracle.
It's a Hanukkah.
We are here all of Hanukkah. We play in Arizona the 22nd. We come back to practice the 26th. 27th we play at home the 28th.
Yeah.
And then we head to New York. We play on.
So
New Year's Eve
we're
in New
having
York.
on the 29th. We're having a huge party here at Deli Divine for Hanukkah. We're inviting everyone.
Family, everybody, kids.
Jews, Gentiles, everybody's in. You know, it's a brunch because there's a lot of holiday things.
Yes.
It's gonna be a fun brunch. You definitely need to bring your family.
I will.
Pickle martinis.
Pickle martinis. So
I like
tell
that.
me,
Latkes.
tell me this though, because
I never had that before. It sounds
a pickle
sounds-
martini.
I've never had a pickle.
Well, I told Ben I was trying to make a martini a few weeks back at my house. We didn't have any olive juice. Pickles weren't.
That's how I
perfect.
drink it with olive juice.
So, have you ever had it with caper juice?
No, it
That's
sounds
good too.
delicious.
But the pickle one is really exceptional.
Really?
Have you had a pickle here at Deli Divine?
Uh-uh.
We can maybe make
I'm gonna
great
get a.
We
I'm gonna
need
get a
to- we
pickle.
need to get
I'm gonna
a
get a pickle on the way
pickle
out. The everything bagel was. I mean, the lox. I'm not even blowing smoke. Like it was
So
incredible.
the lox is really good. The bagels we bring them from New York, by the way, daily.
Fresh from New York.
Yeah, yesterday the camera actually caught the delivery guy.
Caught the delivery guy coming
Really?
straight in. Yeah.
You can tell.
So
You can
you know what I'm
absolutely tell the
interested.
difference.
You can tell the
Oh,
difference.
you absolutely can tell the difference.
I'm interested to know a little bit about. Speaking of Jewish life, do you go to synagogue? Do you go to services?
I do. Now, I usually go on the high holidays.
High holidays?
Sure.
The transition here has been a little choppier because it's been so
Yeah, of
crazy
course,
with coming
of
in.
course.
But yes, we wanna find a synagogue, go to a high
Were you
holidays.
bar mitzvahed?
I was not, but here's why. I was a tennis player, and so I spent when I moved to Florida, I actually left my family, and I moved to a tennis academy, and I
Got it.
lived separate from my family because I was at the time I was one of the best tennis players in America.
Yeah.
So I and my age group. So I lived at a tennis academy, and I traveled all the time. My family stayed in New York.
Got it.
So I lived away from my family for a couple of years.
How old were you at
From
this time?
12 to 15.
Wow.
My
Wow.
family I was separated from from my family
That's
to train.
What a story.
what a
Yeah.
story.
So I was
from
but I've
tennis to
been
basketball.
Yeah. you
Tell
know,
us about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? So I played
I
tennis a
mean,
lot.
team sport, individual sport.
No doubt.
I mean,
You
I
could-
like both sports, but
Yeah.
in my mind, it couldn't be more different.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. And so I played at tennis. I was a really good player in the 12 and unders, and I think second in the country, whatever. I was number one in the state of New York, and so I went to live at a tennis academy actually with Jennifer Capriati,
Okay.
who was a great player.
Yeah,
And I lived in
yeah.
this Greenleaf in Haines City, Florida, and stayed there, trained there, and then moved down to Boca Raton and trained there. And as everybody else grew, I didn't. And so genetics, and in tennis, size and wingspan and
Yeah.
all the serving, all that stuff matters. So I stopped playing tennis. I just got burnt out. I had done it since I was a kid. My whole life, like we mentioned, I didn't get bar mitzvah
Yeah.
because I was traveling, I was going,
Yeah.
everything was tennis. But when I stopped playing, there was a pretty big void of like, what am I going to do
Right.
with this time? And I have a work ethic because I spend so much time playing and training.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basketball was easy because when I started, it was you just need a ball and a hoop.
Yep.
You don't need any friends, don't need anybody else. And then I just started playing pickup, and so and then there was an overlap of like tennis hand-eye coordination, quick movements.
Sure.
Well, in those things translated for me to only thing I didn't know how to do was shoot, but I could dribble and I could move because again tennis is change of directions,
Yep.
Yeah.
quick short burst. There's a lot of overlap, footwork, and those things. So when I started playing basketball, played pickup, had to learn the rules and everything, and I actually wound up getting this is a funny story, but true, I actually wound up getting a college scholarship because I played for a couple of years. I was like 17. I was playing in a Jewish community center deal. Nobody comes to those. Happened to be a junior college coach. Was visiting Boca Raton to visit with a friend of his. They came to watch. Came to watch his friend's son play
At the J.
at the Jewish Community Center.
At the J.
And the Boca Raton Jewish Community Center. And I got a basketball scholarship for junior college. But that's a true story. And so there was a great JCC out in West Boca off 441. And so I used to go there and play there. And so yeah, that's how I got into basketball. But it was totally different, as you said. Tennis very individual, very much and I loved basketball because I love being part of the team.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I coach because of that was the thing that drew me to coaching was like being on a team, being in a locker room, being with a group of people with varied backgrounds, but with like shared goals and vision, and you're interdependent on each other, and just the way that works, like the dynamics of a team.
Yeah.
That's what really was so different than tennis, and I loved it, and that's why when my college was over, I went into coaching because I wanted to retain that ability to be in that team.
How about what Coach just said? Being on the same team.
I was just going to go into that.
Different backgrounds, different personal lives, different.
Everybody's got a different story.
But similar aspirations. And that's an analogy to Jewish life.
Same company, different division.
Same company, different divisions.
Yeah.
We come from different parts of life, different places.
Yeah, and we talk a little bit about having each other's back.
A little bit of having each other's back.
I think that's part of the Jewish. That's part of the way our heritage, the way we operate. I mean, like, there's not many Jews, and with our history, what we've been through, I think there's a proclivity, or like where when you're with other Jews, there's a connection without having any personal
Alex?
connection.
He led us right into it.
Yes.
I mean, that was
there's
perfect.
no question that you feel that when you're around other Jews.
There is
where you
that
feel
immediate connection.
Immediate connection, because there's a shared history, the suffering, the goods, the bads, and again, even in coaching, there's so few Jews. So like Bruce Pearl and I are good friends, Coach Elmer, but it started with just both of us being Jewish.
Yeah.
And he was at Tennessee, and I was at a school just an hour north.
So I mean,
But the
and
Jewish
it's okay
background's
to
out.
celebrate it. It's okay to say this is a we.
Yeah, I mean, and I was going to go back to some of your past coaching, some of the places that you said you had coached at before and along the way, but had you ever felt like there was a time where you were unsure how they would react, or unsure if you were in a position to actually get that coaching job because of your religious background?
There was a few times Division II. I remember a job specifically in Tennessee. I won't try to mention the name, but the AD was very interested in me, and so he calls my agent. He says, "Man, we love Josh," and and he didn't know Schertz, if that's
Could be German.
Yeah, it could be
blue eye.
right. Yeah, so it doesn't know, right? And so my agent calls me and he says, "Well, man, they're very interested. It's a Division I and this," and so I told the AD, and the AD said, "Well, one thing you got to do to work here is you have to sign a statement like professing your faith in Christ." And I was like, "Oh, well,
Wow.
And it was a private school, Christian school.
Yeah.
So it ended there.
Yeah.
And there were some jobs that I couldn't get involved in because of my religion. There's a lot of schools that are Christian schools. Mm-hmm. There's only one Jewish school, Yeshiva.
Yeah.
D3. There's no other schools where being a Jew is a benefit.
Yeah.
It's either a neutral or a hindrance.
Right.
And so in this profession, you do have to find somewhere that accepts you and is okay. That's one thing I was really impressed with St. Louis, because when I heard that, I was like, why would they be interested? And in my first meeting with St. Louis on Zoom, Dr. Chaffetz was on there.
Yeah.
He explained, I'm a Jew. This is what I did. I went here, and I was like,
Okay. Immediately, guard was down.
I was like, okay, this is actually this is a legit, because I'm like, do they know that I'm Jewish?
Right, yeah.
And I assume they do.
Hopefully, it wasn't. It didn't matter, right? Whether they knew it wasn't a consideration. Right?
Here, I don't think it. It definitely wasn't why they hired me, but it wasn't in the way of them hiring me.
So outside of basketball, you like St. Louis?
Love it. You know, we just
You feel good about it?
Yes, I love the city. You know,
You're
it's-
making friends?
I'm trying to make some friends. We got a house in the summer. We moved to Olivet.
Okay.
So
Whereabouts?
over by like where Stacy Park is.
Sure.
Oh my
Old
God!
Bonham
You're,
Elementary.
yeah. So you're very close to my brother. My brother is in Olivet. He's
Yeah.
at Chevy Chase.
Yep.
You know,
Mhm.
and I'm in Frontenac, so I'm not
Yep.
far away.
Not far away either.
Kids
We almost
might
moved
go
to
school.
Frontenac. We
Yeah.
almost went Frontenac. We wound up in Olivet.
Olivet's Olivet's a huge Jewish community.
It is. So we moved
An
in.
aging Jewish community, but a big Jewish community.
Well, when we moved in, we had a couple
Don't call the
neighbors
guy
that
old, man.
No.
I'm
my
in
brother.
Yeah. But no, they. I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
And I am old, so it's fine. When I moved in, we had a couple neighbors that came by to meet us, and everyone was Jewish, and I was like, what are the chances of like?
Yeah.
And
How
so
about
then somebody told me, they're like, oh, you live in Olivet, and I was like, yeah. And they're like, that's where all the Jews live, and I was like, really? Like I didn't buy a house there intentionally. I didn't
Yeah.
know, but
Great area.
Great area, and this you know, St. Louis it's a great sports town.
Great
They love
sports
sports. It's got Midwest values. People are good people. They treat you the right way. While it's a big city and you have all the things you would want culturally, diversity, ethnicity-wise, it also has somehow a small town
mentality.
to a big
Good
city.
and bad.
Yeah.
Yes, good and bad.
For good and for
right,
you know,
because everything gets out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the good and bad, but you know, me coming
big
from
small town.
For me coming from two small towns, you
You
know,
like
it
it.
fits.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not. You can hear my accent. I'm from Israel.
Yeah.
So I moved here at 17, and you know, I've always felt like St. Louis is a big small town.
Did you come straight here?
Yeah.
Wow, what made you come here?
It's kind of a long, boring
We
story.
needed a good bagel.
We need a good bagel.
We needed
And-
somebody
and
to
you
bring us a
produced
It
good
was
it.
bagel.
30 years ago,
That's
so it's
funny.
like it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, but
I made it home.
it's a
and I
great
stayed
place.
here. It's a great place, and you know, I felt, you know, I left a few times. There was a few excursions, but all in all, I really am trying to be a good ambassador for a city, and I'm trying to every time that we meet people that are not from St. Louis that have jobs here.
Yeah.
I almost make it a personal mission to try to keep people here, try to make them like St. Louis even more, and reach out. And so I'm glad we get to
No, this
meet
is
each other
great, and
see each
I
other.
am so excited to.
And-
I'm a huge foodie, and so is my wife. So I cannot wait to try some.
By the way, you're not active on your
Florentine.
Instagram.
No.
Because I had sent you
Did
when
you?
you moved to St. Louis. I sent you.
Did you send me? I have no. I don't even know how to log on. My
Now
son
you got
has-
directly to him.
Yeah, you got to.
But this is even better.
Yeah,
Even
now
better.
now you have my numbers. You could just. I
Yes.
don't. So my son signed me up for Instagram. I don't even know how to log on to it, so don't be offended by it.
I'm not offended at all.
Yeah, but
That's
but
funny.
but I don't even know how to get on it. But you know, but we're huge foodies, and so the chance to come in and this bagel now I know where to go.
Yeah.
So this is I've been looking for a good
Awesome.
nothing beats a nice bagel with lox in the morning.
Quick Hanukkah food question then.
Mm-hmm.
Are you an applesauce or sour cream guy on your
Oh, that's a
latke?
new one. I like
Ooh.
that one. That's a great
Yeah.
one.
On my
Yeah.
latke, I would be more applesauce. I'm not a huge sour cream guy. So applesauce would be on my latkes.
Favorite Yiddish word? And have you ever used a Yiddish word when you're at the team, talking to the team, or game time conversation?
God, I would say probably Meshuggah.
Meshuggah.
Yeah, and I used to say to myself, the team would not. They wouldn't.
You know what?
not.
You know, I want to go back to a little serious note before we wrap up.
Yep.
I find it so admirable the coach took his team at Terre Haute to a Holocaust museum. Why?
I wanted them to understand.
Not understand you, but like it's a
No,
life lesson.
A life lesson, because I think I wanted them to. You're always trying to with your players, like you do your kids. You want to broaden their perspective, as you said. People come in that locker room from all kinds of backgrounds. There's black people, white people, Hispanic people. There's Muslims. There's Jews. There's Christians. There's all kinds of, and so you have all this diversity. And what makes, I think, when our country's at its best is that diversity is a strength, because there's shared values of like who you are and what you. So like what makes a
And
locker
respect.
room good and respect,
Yeah.
mutual respect, mutual trust, but a shared values of like what we believe in. And at the core of people, most every person wants the same things.
Yeah.
They want opportunity. They want to take care of their families. They want happiness.
Amen.
And so we're not as different as what people think. And so the opportunity to bring them in, to show them, and to go through. And it was such a cool deal. The museum, they have a section where Ava Kor, obviously she's passed, but she talks through like her experiences and
That's
it
incredible.
walks you
Awesome.
through it. And I think it was helps to give guys perspective, context,
Yeah.
to where I bet, and I don't know, I didn't ask before, but I would bet there was a good chunk of those guys who they didn't even know
Never
what the
met a
Holocaust
Jewish person.
Yeah, didn't know what the Holocaust was.
and I bet that they carry this with them
Yeah.
to this day.
They'll remember
It's a great
that.
memory.
It's a great memory.
And they went through the whole thing, and we spent a couple hours there, and it was such a cool deal. We took some pictures, and it was like anything you can do with young people to broaden their perspective, to get them to see the world outside of their own little myopic
Yeah.
views and see,
Yeah.
that there is a big world out there and the impact you can have and things that have happened. I think you always want to take opportunities to do that where you're coaching, not just, basketball is important, but it's not as
Coaching
important as life.
Yeah.
It's not as important as
That's
the world,
awesome.
right?
And so what we learned is coach is a true life coach, not just a
Coach is the
sports
man
coach.
all around. Is
Yeah,
what we learned
coach is,
today.
yeah, exactly, no doubt.
Well,
I'm
we
so
appreciate
impressed.
you,
I'm so-
man.
No,
Yeah.
thank you guys for
Appreciative
having
of
me,
your
and
time.
I am.
We know
I'll
your
be
time
back
is,
in-
is important and
No,
is valuable. And
thank you guys for having me. This is so cool. What you guys are doing.
And this is completely organic.
Yeah.
And the reason we're filming it here is because Alex and I, it's not like we've known each other for a long time. We're new friends, and we sat around this table and we started talking. We said we should have more conversations with others, and we thought Hanukkah would be the.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of
Celebrate the-
Hanukkah, should we ask him
How do you spell it?
How do you
Last
spell
name.
it?
I always go with the H. I don't go C.
Thank you.
So
Thank
I go,
you.
I go
Leave it
H.
up here.
There
I
we
go
go.
H. I go H. But I know it's both ways. When I spell it to somebody, I go with the H, not the CH.
You
That's
see,
funny.
well, we
We can do this picture.
Yeah, we
He's
can
gotta
just picture.
run
You gotta
too.
go back.
He's got to run.
But anyway, this was awesome.
No, thank you guys for having me.
You were awesome.